Are you feeling disconnected, like you're drifting through life, unsure of your purpose or direction? Have you ever found yourself in a season of solitude, struggling with the silence, and wondering if you're missing something? If so, you're not alone. Many of us go through periods of isolation, but what if I told you that this loneliness might be a gift in disguise? What if the very solitude you dread is the key to unlocking your true potential? In this video, we'll explore the power of solitude and how it can transform your life from the inside out. We'll dive into the wisdom of Carl Jung, one of the most influential thinkers of all time, and his understanding of isolation as a path to self-discovery. You'll learn why solitude isn't a punishment, but a sacred space that allows you to reconnect with your true self, heal old wounds, and find the clarity you've been searching for. By the end of this video, you'll understand how embracing your solitude can lead to profound personal growth, inner strength, and authentic transformation. You'll discover how solitude helps you cultivate peace, resilience, and a deeper connection with yourself. Stick around to find out how this journey inward can shape your life and guide you to the person you were always meant to become. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious mind, that hidden reservoir of our deepest desires, fears, instincts, and forgotten truths, becomes more accessible when we are removed from the constant noise and distractions of the external world. In the silence, the unconscious speaks more clearly, though not in words, but through feelings, dreams, memories, and sudden insights that seem to arise from nowhere. These moments aren't random, nor are they merely coincidences. They are messages, vital clues from your deeper self, patiently waiting to be heard and understood. In today's fast-paced world, we are constantly encouraged to keep moving, to stay busy, to avoid the discomfort of stillness. We've been conditioned to think that productivity equals worth, and silence, well, it's often seen as something uncomfortable, something we must fill with noise to avoid the unease it brings. But true transformation, real, lasting change, requires a different approach. It requires that we stop, that we pause, that we feel, and that we listen, even when what we hear frightens us. The alchemy of solitude is not some quick fix. It's the slow, mysterious process of turning the silence into selfhood. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't come in a single epiphany. It unfolds gradually, like a seed breaking through the soil. At first, there is darkness, then pressure, and slowly something stirs. Something begins to grow, but it requires your full cooperation. You can't run from it. You can't numb it. You can't keep filling your time with distractions, hoping the transformation will come without you facing the discomfort. If you fight solitude, if you refuse to sit with yourself in the quiet, then nothing will change. You will remain stuck in a loop, trapped by old patterns, clinging to identities that aren't even yours. You'll be afraid to confront the depth of who you truly are. And that, I believe, is where so many of us stay stuck in a safe, surface-level existence, too afraid to dive deeper. Jung's concept of shadow work becomes crucial in this journey. The shadow is that part of us that we have pushed away, the traits we hate, the emotions we've suppressed, the truths we pretend not to know. But here's the thing. These parts of us don't just disappear. They lie in wait, lurking in the darkness, until we dare to face them. And when we enter solitude, when we allow ourselves to be with ourselves in silence, the shadow steps forward. It may bring up anger you didn't even realize you were holding, sadness you buried years ago, guilt, envy, fear, all the emotions you've spent your life avoiding. It can feel overwhelming. It can feel like drowning in your pain. But here's the thing that Jung taught me. Integrating the shadow, making peace with those parts of ourselves, instead of rejecting them, is the key to true wholeness. It's in solitude, when you face your fears, your pain and your darkness, that you reclaim the fragments of yourself that you've ignored for so long. Most people think that happiness comes from avoiding pain. But Jung understood something powerful, that real peace comes from understanding that pain, from sitting with it, from facing it without running. Because when you can sit with your pain, listen to it, and learn from it, it loses its power to control you. And this, my friends, is when the magic happens: clarity. In this newfound clarity, you begin to see which relationships were built on fear or obligation. You start to recognize the ways you've abandoned yourself to please others. You begin to notice how you've been performing rather than truly living. And with this clarity, you reclaim your life, not the life others expected from you, not the life that society said you should live, but the life that feels authentically yours. This, I believe, is the true gift of solitude. It's not quick, it's not easy, but it's real, it's honest. It's the kind of freedom that comes from rediscovering passions that once lit you up, passions that you left behind because the world told you they weren't practical. You may even begin to hear your inner child again, not the wounded one, but the curious, playful, creative one. You may hear it whispering, encouraging you to follow dreams that you once thought were impossible. And suddenly, those dreams don't feel so far out of reach anymore. They feel necessary. The tragedy, however, is that most people will never go this deep. They'll skim the surface of their lives, avoiding the discomfort of solitude, mistaking it for loneliness. They'll miss the treasure buried just beneath the discomfort, the soul-deep transformation waiting for them. But if you've been brought into solitude, even if it's not something you sought out, consider this: life may be preparing you for something far greater than you could have ever imagined. So embrace the quiet. Welcome the discomfort, because in the end, you will emerge stronger, clearer, and far more in touch with who you truly are. And that is the greatest gift of all. Solitude offers you something far greater than mere comfort. It offers you truth. And truth, as we all know, is not always soft or easy to digest. Truth cuts. It exposes what we often try to hide from ourselves. It demands change. But in return, it liberates. It clears away the falsehoods and the facades we build around ourselves, making room for the real, authentic version of who we are meant to become. This is why people who come through the fire of solitude often emerge with a strength that is different from what the world expects. It's not loud or aggressive. It's quiet, rooted, and unshakable. Those who have truly embraced solitude no longer seek validation from the outside world. They have learned how to validate themselves. They are not desperate for attention or approval because they've made peace with being unseen. They don't fear being misunderstood. They'd rather be authentic than approved. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. This, my friends, is the profound gift of solitude. It doesn't just fall into your lap. No, you have to earn it. You have to sit with the uncomfortable silence, even when it feels like it's crushing you. You have to face the thoughts, the memories, the pain that haunts you. Sometimes you'll cry. Sometimes you'll rage. Sometimes you'll feel like you're breaking apart. But then, only then, something new begins to form within you. A stronger version of yourself. A clearer version. Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own. But those who do face themselves, those who go beyond the surface, not just once but repeatedly, with honesty and humility, become something rare in this world. They become whole. They have reconciled the parts of themselves that most people are too afraid to acknowledge." So, if you find yourself in a season of solitude, don't rush to escape it. Don't fill the silence with distractions. Don't numb it with the noise of the world. Instead, listen, feel, breathe. Trust that this space, as empty as it seems, is fertile ground for something extraordinary to grow, something no one else can give you, a deep, unshakable relationship with yourself. Because in the end, this is what solitude is truly about. It's not isolation. It's not punishment. It's a reunion with the self you were always meant to become. There is a kind of sacred fire hidden within solitude. It's not meant to destroy you. It's meant to refine you. It burns, yes, and at times it feels like punishment. But the truth is, solitude is a crucible. Only those willing to step into its heat will emerge transformed. When everything familiar has been stripped away, the voices of others, the distractions, the roles you used to play, something raw and honest remains. You, not the version others see, not the one you've curated for the world, but the unfiltered, vulnerable, quietly powerful self that's been waiting for space to breathe. Jung saw this experience not as a detour from life, but as the very heart of life itself. He believed that life continuously pushes us toward encounters with our unconscious mind, our deepest fears, instincts, forgotten truths, and desires. But the door to that world rarely opens in the chaos of noise. It opens in the quiet of solitude. In those moments when you feel forgotten by the world, when the invitations stop coming, when your phone remains silent and the stillness feels suffocating, that's when you are closest to something sacred. At first, it may not feel like a gift. It may feel like grief. But beneath that ache lies an invitation to become more whole, more honest, and more aligned with your true essence. Many people view isolation negatively, seeing it as a social failure or being unwanted. But solitude, especially the kind that comes uninvited, often marks the beginning of an inner rite of passage, one that the soul desperately requires, even if the ego resists it. Think of it like the seasons. No one questions the purpose of winter. It's a time when everything seems still, even dead. Yet, underground, the roots are deepening, preparing for the next cycle of growth. Your solitude is no different. On the surface, it may seem like nothing is happening, but internally, massive shifts are underway. Spiritual traditions around the world, from Buddhism to mystic Christianity to Sufism, have long placed great reverence on periods of isolation and retreat. These are the moments when the soul finds its way home. But, make no mistake, this isn't a passive experience. You don't just sit in silence and wait for revelations to come to you. You must engage with yourself actively, compassionately, and honestly. You must listen to what you've ignored. You must feel what you've numbed. You must sit with the ache, not as a victim, but as a seeker. And in doing so, something profound shifts inside of you. The parts of yourself you once rejected, your fears, your past mistakes, your flaws, begin to feel less like enemies and more like messengers. You realize that the shadows you've spent a lifetime avoiding were never trying to destroy you. They were simply trying to guide you back to your wholeness. These shadows, the parts of yourself you've repressed, ignored, or feared, carry the wisdom that your soul has been longing for. This is the essence of Carl Jung's concept of individuation, the process of integrating all the parts of yourself, including those parts you've pushed away. The goal isn't perfection. It's unity. It's becoming a fully formed individual standing in the fullness of your contradictions, in both your light and your shadow, and saying, "This is me entire, undivided." And here's the truth. That kind of self-acceptance, that profound understanding and integration of who you are, rarely happens in the company of others. It doesn't happen in the noise and the chaos of life. It requires solitude. It requires discomfort. It requires fire. We live in a world that urges us to avoid discomfort at all costs. We've been taught that pain is a sign that something's wrong, that healing should be quick, clean, and painless. But real healing, the kind that reshapes your soul, is messy. It's full of grief, rage, and unexpected beauty. It cannot be rushed. It must be honored. And this is the gift of solitude. Solitude teaches you patience, presence, and depth. It gives you the space to slow down. Time no longer feels like it's racing ahead of you. demanding that you check off endless to-do lists. You are no longer running from one thing to the next, constantly chasing validation or approval from others. In solitude, you start to notice the small things, the rise and fall of your breath, the subtle shifts in your thoughts, the emotions you've kept hidden for so long. You become aware of just how much noise you've been living with, and, for perhaps the first time in years, you begin to feel what it's truly like to be with yourself. This presence, this stillness, is what makes transformation possible. It is in this quiet space that you begin to forgive not just others, but yourself. You start to let go of the old stories that have held you captive. I'm not enough, I'm too broken, no one will ever understand me. These limiting narratives lose their grip on you when you sit with them long enough to see through them. In solitude, you can finally confront the truths that you've buried deep within and begin to rewrite the script of your life. You also start to dream again, not just of accomplishments or superficial milestones, but of real meaning. You begin to ask the big questions. What does a meaningful life look like for me? What kind of presence do I want to bring into the world? Who am I when no one is watching? As you wrestle with these questions and search for answers, you start to rewrite your life story not based on what others expect of you, but based on your truth. Solitude gives you the precious opportunity to come home to yourself, to remember what truly matters, to realign with what feels real, and to reconnect with the parts of yourself that you've lost along the way. But make no mistake, this is sacred work, and it's not for the faint of heart. That's why not everyone embraces it. Many will spend their entire lives running from themselves, from the silence, from the discomfort, from the pain that lies just beneath the surface. They'll fill their time with distractions, their hearts with half connections, and their minds with noise. But those who stop running, who choose to sit down in the fire and allow it to do its transformative work, they become something rare. They become grounded, rooted, and free. They are not perfect. They still feel pain, and they still long for connection. But they carry an inner peace that can't be shaken. They stand tall in their authenticity, no longer afraid to face their shadows. And in this way, they become a living testament to the power of solitude, to the profound healing, transformation, and freedom that comes from embracing the silence and the fire within. But they carry something that others often don't, a deep, unwavering inner stability. This stability is not born from avoiding life's hardships, but from walking through them with open eyes and a willing heart. It's forged in the fires of solitude, which isn't a punishment, but a passage, a stripping away of the false, a purification and refinement of the soul. When you've passed through the fire, you carry something powerful, the wisdom of fire. You become like a lighthouse, steady, silent, and unmistakably alive. Your presence alone speaks volumes. You radiate a quiet strength that others can't help but notice. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. There comes a moment, often subtle, rarely loud, when the season of solitude begins to shift. It's not a dramatic moment. There's no thunderclap, no angelic voice whispering. You've completed your inner work, but you feel it deep within. Quietly, something changes. The silence that once felt suffocating now feels sacred. The loneliness that once ached now feels like peace. You've made it through the fire, and with that, you've been transformed. But what happens next? Many people assume that once you've faced yourself in solitude, you can simply return to the world as before, back to the routines, relationships, and the life you left behind. But the truth is, you don't return as the same person. You can't. The transformation you've gone through changes you from the inside out, and the world will not greet you the same way. You've shifted, and the world must now meet you in your new form. The real test begins now, integrating this newfound inner truth into the external world. Carl Jung understood this phase well. He believed that individuation, the deep psychological process of becoming your whole, authentic self, wasn't complete until you brought that truth back into the world. It must be lived. It must be embodied. Transformation that remains locked in the mind or heart isn't true transformation at all. It must be expressed in the world, lived out loud. And here's where the work begins. After you've gone deep within yourself, things will begin to shift. Your values will change. The things that once excited you may now feel hollow. Relationships you once clung to may now seem misaligned. Activities that used to fill your calendar will lose their meaning. You begin to crave depth, sincerity, and purpose. You'll feel dissonance in your life, like you're a stranger in your world. People will notice your change, and some may not know how to respond. Some may celebrate it, while others may resist, trying to pull you back into the old patterns of who you once were. But this is the crucial point to remember. Your growth is real, and it matters. You don't owe the world the version of you that no longer exists. The return from solitude is not about fitting in. It's about showing up as your true, authentic self, fully, without apology. It doesn't mean you shout your transformation from the rooftops. The most powerful shifts are often the quietest, grounded in your actions rather than your words. You begin to move through life with more intention. You speak less, but when you do, it's with more meaning. This is the moment of real power, the quiet, steady confidence that emerges from having done the inner work. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone because you are living in alignment with your true self. The world will notice, and for those who understand, your energy will speak louder than anything you could ever say. You begin to choose relationships not out of fear or loneliness, but from a place of alignment. You no longer seek to fill a void with others, but instead, you connect with people who resonate with the person you've become. You learn to say no, not out of defensiveness or anger, but because your boundaries have become sacred. You understand the value of preserving your energy, and you no longer abandon yourself for approval. You've learned how to stand beside yourself, how to be loyal to the person you are, and that loyalty becomes unshakable. This kind of inner strength isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention, but it's undeniable. People can sense it. They feel it in your presence, in your silence, and in the way you hold space for others without losing yourself in the process. Slowly, you begin to attract what truly aligns with who you've become. New relationships enter your life, relationships based not on performance or people-pleasing, but on mutual respect, authenticity, and shared values. You no longer feel the need to prove anything. You simply allow what is meant for you to flow in. Opportunities also arise that resonate with your deeper values. The external world, once chaotic and disconnected, begins to reflect your inner truth. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not always easy, but it happens steadily. When difficulties arise, and they will, you face them differently. You no longer see discomfort as a threat or something to be avoided. You've sat with your shadow. You've befriended your solitude. And now, you know how to return to yourself. That's where your true power lies. In many ways, solitude teaches you how to be your own home. It teaches you how to be at peace with yourself, no matter the circumstances. When you carry that kind of inner rootedness, the world can't shake you in the same way. Rejection stings less. Failure feels more like feedback, not a condemnation of your worth. Silence doesn't scare you anymore because you've learned how to speak to yourself in it. You've become your comfort, your refuge. But perhaps the most beautiful part of returning from solitude is that you now carry something others desperately need: presence. In a world addicted to noise, speed, and superficial connections, a person shaped by solitude brings a rare kind of calm. You're no longer trying to impress anyone. You're not chasing approval. You're not proving your worth to anyone because you've already found it, alone, in the dark. And this presence becomes a gift. You begin to notice when others are in pain, even when they try to hide it. You listen differently, not waiting for them to speak, but truly hearing them. You ask deeper questions, not just surface-level ones. You offer space, not solutions. You become a mirror for others, a reminder that they too have an inner life waiting to be heard. This is how solitude becomes service, not because you preach about what you've learned, but because you embody it. Your stillness becomes medicine for those around you. Your truth, expressed quietly and without force, becomes a light that others can follow. Without trying to change anyone, you permit others to pause, to go inward, and to heal. But even as you begin to serve others in this new, transformative way, you don't forget your solitude. You return to it often, not out of sadness or defeat, but out of reverence. It becomes a practice, a sanctuary, a place where you recalibrate when the noise of the world creeps back in. Because growth doesn't stop, the path of self-discovery is never truly finished. There will always be more to uncover, more to release, more to reclaim. But now, you know the way. You've walked through the fire and survived. You've emerged stronger, more rooted, and ready for whatever lies ahead. As we wrap up, I want to ask you, what have you learned from the journey of solitude, and how will you apply it in your own life? Whether it's embracing your inner strength, learning to stand by yourself, or recognizing the power of silence, there's something in this process for all of us. I encourage you to reflect on one key lesson you've gained and share it in the comments below. What will you bring from solitude into your everyday life? If you liked this video and found value in the message, please leave your comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on more insights and transformative content. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to hearing how this journey resonates with you.